started. Okay, and we have the screen shared. Wonderful. Hi, my name is Xavier Santiago. I'm the Vice Chair of Community Board 11. It is approximately 6:33, calling the meeting to order. Real quick. Tonight, I am joined by Angel Miskane, our district manager. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, we're going to observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have questions about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. You click the participants icon and the participants panel should appear and you should be able to raise your hand there. If you have any technical difficulties, please let the staff know. Members should not engage in a back and forth over the text. We need to keep this public. And so therefore, raise your hand to speak. The chat function should not be used for the board's business. It just alert us for technical difficulties or repeating information that was shared during the meeting. When a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you. You can unmute yourself so that you can speak. Please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Members of the public can register to speak at this time. Well, we're not in public session, but in executive, but we do have presentations tonight. And now I will pass it over to Angel for the roll call.
Okay, Xavier, when I call your name, please state present. Jose Altamirano.
Present.
Adem Brija. Jessica Elliott.
Present.
Elsie Encarnacion.
Present.
Judith Febraro.
Present.
David Giordano.
Present.
Marissa Mack.
Present.
Nilsa Orama. Xavier Santiago.
Present.
Jason Villanueva. Nye Whitaker. John Green.
Here.
Dawn Sanders. We have quorum.
Thank you very much. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Board members, if you are objecting to the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom. Okay. Seeing no hands raised, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Okay, and the adoption of the committee minutes. Apologies, it was a very long meeting. I thank Carly and Angel for getting everything over for the transcript and whatnot. I sent that across this afternoon. If there are no objections from adopting last meeting's minutes, please raise your hand if there is an objection. Okay, since I'm not seeing any, those are adopted. Announcements. Do we have any announcements? Jessica Elliott.
Hi, I made this announcement at land use, but there's an upcoming ULI Urban Plan for Public Officials workshop coming up on November 12th. So if you're interested in that, I'll put my email in the chat and just reach out to me and I'll send you the RSVP information. But it's a day-long workshop and focused on like affordability issues, and you look at like an example neighborhood and come up with a proposal as a developer with a team. So it's really fun and should be informative about the process. And I know a couple of people have signed up, so please take advantage of it if you can. Thanks.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you for encouraging members of our community board to apply. I have one announcement, if there are no others. This weekend, as part of the Open Streets program, El Museo, which is partnering with the International Puerto Rican Heritage Film Festival, will be exhibiting unseen films, Rican films, this Saturday. So come on out. It is a co-sponsored event with El Museo. They'll be out there at 5:30. The films will start exhibiting once we have sundown. So this Saturday. Okay. Any other announcements? Oh, Angel, yes.
Just wanted to remind board members that you're currently in the nominating period for board officers. The nomination period terminates at the beginning of the business session of the full board meeting this coming Tuesday. So if you were thinking of submitting a nomination for a fellow board member or yourself, please do so in writing by emailing the elections committee. The email for the committee has been circulated multiple times. Yep, that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Angel.
Oh, if you have any questions, you can email me.
Thank you, Angel. Okay, seeing that, good. Are there any informational updates? Okay, not seeing any raised hands. On to our presentations and discussions. Fiscal year 2023 Statement of District Needs and Budget Requests and Prioritized Budget Requests. Going to hand the con to Angel real quick, who has a few things to share as this process is played out this year.
Yeah. So first, I wanted to, thank all the board members for their, participation in the process this year. All of our committees, played ball with our new process that we just instituted. For the most part, we got really good response for the new process that was laid out. There are still lessons to be learned, but I think it's pretty clear that we're in a much better place than we had been. That said, I wanted to remind folks, what the plan was for this work, right? Besides the outreach and the surveying that we did over the summer and, the consultations, both at the borough level and at the district level, and the conversations that were had at committee, the expectation was that committees would in September and October have their conversations and put forward budget requests to be considered and to be organized by the budget committee. That has, for the most part, worked just fine. There's been some confusion, but I think that it's important to clarify that before you begin your conversation this evening. The idea was for the budget committee to organize those requests per the direction of the Office of Management and Budget and Department of City Planning into 3 categories. So very high need, and I forgot what the last one was, but low need. It'll appear on the presentation when I put it up in a second. The committee did that. The budget committee did that. They had an incredibly long meeting last night. I think pushing 4 hours. So I wanted to speak before you all started, because I think it's important that in respect for the work that they put in and the work that the committees have put in prior, that be taken into account as you begin to, your deliberations this evening. So you'll see on the spreadsheet that I will put up on the screen in a few minutes, at the far right-hand side, there'll be those categories. So there's those 3 buckets, the very high, the high, and the other one that I can't remember. And then to the right of that, I have put in numbered suggestions for the order of the budget requests as they will be submitted to OMB. Those are my suggestions, no one else's suggestions. So I put them there for information purposes. If you, just to kind of spark conversation, you want to move things around, perfectly fine. But I thought that it would help to start from something versus starting from 0. Considering that there are upwards of 70 something odd requests to be put in some kind of order. So I thought it would be better to start from somewhere. And then one last request. If any of you have any questions about what how the process has played out, any issues that have come up, I'm open to hearing your feedback now before you engage the conversation. We have had some feedback from some members asking to add items that were not considered or presented to committee and considered thoroughly at committee. That's a practice that has happened in the past that we were looking to rectify with this new process. The idea, the thinking behind that being that the committees have a responsibility throughout the entire year to assess the needs of our district. And then in relation to those needs, put forward budget requests to address those needs. That's the committee's task. We didn't think that it was respectful of the committee's work the entire year to have items coming up that circumvent that process and those conversations that are had, a minimum of 10 times a year at committee. Just because we have a formal process that dictates that in September and October, we have to have this conversation. By no means is that to suggest that discussions about community district needs or even ideas about budget requests, future requests, past requests, could not and should not be had at committee throughout the year. That's fully in your hands, as chairs to assemble your agendas and your discussions. So, that said, you will hear, or you may have heard some, questions or concerns from your fellow board members about requests coming in, perhaps late, and not being moved forward by the budget committee. And in large measure, it was for that reason. We really wanted to emphasize that this process should go through committee, and that then the budget committee would be receiving those and, for the most part, organizing them into those 3 buckets, and then putting that forward to executive to then assign a numbered rankings to be ratified by full board this coming Tuesday. That's all I wanted to share. Again, if anyone has any questions now or any other point, I'm happy to speak to them. Otherwise, I'll just put up the presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Angel, for explaining. I'll allow a few minutes conversation if there are questions before we dive in. I'd rather us address this issue head on if there are any concerns or questions while we can, and then we can focus on getting the rest of the work done. So if you have any questions, concerns that you'd like to raise right now with the process, please raise your hand while Angel preps everything. I'm not seeing any hands. Okay. So if you would be so kind, Angel, as to take us through this, please.
Oh, okay. I really did not intend to read through all these. These have been shared with you guys ad nauseum. However, I will just point you to, I'm sorry, are you seeing the tracker on your screens?
Yes.
Okay, great. So just wanted to point you to what I was just discussing a minute ago in column F, the titled recommended ranking. That is the ranking per the budget committee. So as I was trying to recall, it's very high priority is the first category. And then you'll see as we go down, it goes to a second category called high priority. And then lastly, I think it's low priority. Low priority. Per the Office of Management Budget and the Department of City Planning that guide this process, those are the 3 categories that they've asked that we organize our requests into. What I've done on the far right is those rankings that my suggested rankings. So you'll see, just to make it easier on your eyes, you'll see that for the very high priority applies to the top 10 requests. Then the high priority applies to requests 11 through 25. And this is for the capital requests. You'll see that I marked it in another color to make it easier for your eye, or maybe just easier for my eye. And then lastly, the low priority. In the capital category, we only had 2, so you'll see 26 and 27. After that, go on to the expense category, to the expense requests. And again, we start from 1. So 1 through 10, high priority. Very high priority. Then 11 through 25, high priority. And lastly, low priority 26 through 50 this year. We had 50 expense budget requests. One last thing before we continue on this. OMB and DCP have, they recommend that while they'll take all the requests, while they'll take more than what they request we submit, they request that we submit 25, no more than 25 capital requests and no more than 40 expense requests. We have exceeded both of those recommendations. It's not to say that you have to remove them. It's just to say that that's what their recommendation is. And I wanted to be clear with you all as to what their expectations are. That's 95. Okay. So you all have seen these a number of times. Xavier, if you'd like, I can read them, but there's going to be a lot of reading. I'm happy to do it. Or we can just go and address questions from the committee members.
So I will, I missed, and I just out of a degree of etiquette, and Eva, if it is a quick question with the process, I will entertain it, just because we have most of us, well, a good portion of us were on at budget last night and, reeling, if you will. But what was your question real quick? Eva? Can she
Yes.
speak? Okay, there you are. All right, so what was your question real quick?
It's not a question, it's a statement that I attempted to submit my request to land use, but in the meeting, I wasn't allowed to speak, even though I have my hand raised, I think for half an hour. So the request wasn't submitted.
Okay.
And as a result, it didn't get into this budget. So to me, it's a process issue that it didn't get considered by the committee. And I'm still not clear why, I'm not allowed to speak in that committee. But given as it may, I think that it is the right thing to consider the request because it's a process failure issue. And the
Well-
request is to ask for major funding injection to build supportive housing on Watts Island to replace
Yeah,
the homeless shelter that
fami-
have poor
Eva,
conditions.
Yeah, I'm not to cut you off. We're familiar because it was raised, and if I appreciate that. I think it's one of the things we're going to take, and again, wasn't expecting to chair this meeting, but is there will be going forward a more delineated and clear process for those that do not sit on those committees. However, it is at the discretion that if there are recommendations in the past that they be submitted in advance by the chair, to the chair. However, I see that Jason had his hand up, and if Angel would like to find, or Elsie.
I just was going to make a comment that, I'm
So-
sorry, go ahead. If
Yeah,
Angel
just,
first.
we appreciate your input and your drive, and I think what we're doing is we're all working on this together to make it a more positive and goal-focused process. And again, we have created a brand new process. It's come to fruition. And we have a postmortem that we are taking back, but I don't want to, I just wanted to be respectful in asking and fielding your question. So I'll let Jason opine real quick. And if Angel or Elsie, who were at that meeting, have anything to opine, and then I have a question from Jessica, and then I'd like to move back to the budget.
As far as the budget requests were concerned this year, we actually did something unprecedented. This was the first year that we opened up the requests in June of when the fiscal cycle ended. So we had from June till the committee meeting in October for the request to obviously be vetted by the committee. In particular, for the challenge that's brought up by Eva, that request was deemed a housing committee request. And unfortunately, housing had already met. We tried our best to get it, vetted. And unfortunately, not only because of the time lapse on the submission was the challenge, as Angel expressed earlier, we had, I believe, 50 expense requests, and we only could submit 25. So, you know, though we could have, we were, so just to take a little step back, the whole concept of this tracker that's in front of you is not just to look at it in September. And we've had this conversation for a few years. I know most of the chairs here are seasoned board members. And I say that because this document, the more that we could get it into the hands of our people, the more opportunities will present itself to limit these challenges. We're always gonna have these challenges. It doesn't matter what committee it is. As I've discussed with a few of you last year, there's different committee, every year there's this challenge. And I guess in a successful notion with all the challenges that were brought up, this is the first year we had more requests than we're able to submit, right? Most of the time, the challenges in the past years was getting requests. So I guess I really was just commenting on the process, not necessarily to Eva's comment. And then just remember that for the executive committee, you guys voted on the prioritization of the board. So that's the tool that we utilized to set the priority. And, you know, hopefully we have a clear-cut meeting. We spent a lot of time yesterday hashing it out so that way we could get to this point.
We did too. Thank you. Thank you, Eva. And again, I welcome you when we have the postmortem that you can help, as I know you like a delineated process that is drawn out. And like I say to my kids, drawn out in crayon. So I look forward to collaborating, working with you on that, and your efforts are not going unnoticed. So thank you. As it is, there's one question from Jessica related to the prioritization process, and hopefully, yes, go ahead, Jessica.
This may be a dumb question, but I guess it's for Angel. I just wanted to understand the prioritization of 16 verse 22. I guess because number 9 relating to sorry, I'm in the wrong list again.
You're talking capital?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to scroll down. So 16 versus 22, you said. So I'll scroll down to 16.
Because there's a higher priority, a very high priority of more litter baskets. I was just curious your thinking between 16 being higher than 22, that being sidewalk cleaning versus more litter basket collection. I just wanted to understand. Sorry, I'm not sure that we're looking at the same thing. I can't tell which
I am. You said 16 capital of the Peter Minuet?
No, it should be the second list. The sidewalk cleaning services is
the
16.
The expense list, so lower down.
The expense
Okay.
list, sorry.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, so that one's sidewalk cleaning services, and then 22 is more frequent litter basket collection. In my mind, I guess it would have been reversed, but I think maybe because number 9 was more litter baskets that you've ranked it this way.
Hold on, so just give a look at them. First it's 22, increase litter basket pickup. Okay, so the thinking with this is that we have been advocating for a number of years for additional litter basket pickups, and the frequency has been increased. So because of that, and because this 16 was a new, that was my reasoning for it. Like the sidewalk cleaning specifically hadn't been a request, so that was my thinking on that one. I do know that the street cleanliness has been, raised as what was raised a lot as an issue this year. And I think that what we're, this is me editorializing. I think that what we're dealing with is not simply a matter of service. It's a matter of people being reckless with what they're doing with their refuse. I know that in the past, the amount of litter basket pickups and the frequency has been an issue that we've addressed with the Department of Sanitation on multiple occasions. And at the conclusion of Speaker Viverito's term, at the beginning of Councilmember Ayala's term, that issue was addressed by sanitation. They are coming up more often, and it is part of their regular routes. And that was my thinking.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to understand because I would have reversed those, but I think that
Oh,
you're
that's fine.
correct. Yeah,
That's
thank
fine.
you.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Jason, you had a
Again, these
question?
are suggestions, not laws. So I don't, no
I
stones.
think it's a good one.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I was gonna just add to the conversation because I do recall that, you know, trash pickup in particular for the receptacles, it was a big issue brought up
Mhm.
at the budget town hall. But it was pointed out, I think, and I don't, forgive me, Jessica, I don't recall if you were there, but I do know we sent out an email to the borough president, and there seems to be some traction there. I'm just providing a solution. It doesn't take away from any of the commentary about prioritization. So there is traction that came out of land from that budget town hall from Ivy Humes, bringing up that issue, and Gail Brewer at the time committed that she could perform something to assist us in the district.
Can I just follow up on that quickly?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I agree that Manhattan Borough President Office, that email chain going around with, you know, that sort of support is really helpful, but I'm not really sure how to push that further. If you know, I emailed back recently, you know, noting that trash pickup was our #1 concern, but I'm not really sure like what the next steps are, if they're like going to support in any way or if that's going to progress. So, but I just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you, Jessica. So I think I'd like to kind of run, we're all in the document right now. As we had spoken in our last committee meeting, you know, prioritization of safety and housing, and I really appreciate Carly and all the work she's done. So need to get a gift basket for her or something. But I'm going to open up to the body. Are there any of these that you would want to substitute, switch around within the higher prioritization of the capital? Based on our conversations last month and how we allocated and made our decisions for prioritization.
Xavier, could I request just one thing, just so I can keep up? And I think this was what you were getting at. Can we do them in sections?
Yes, absolutely. I'm more than pleased. Whatever will make it easier on your process and for the committee.
Because I know that the comments are going to be coming quick, and I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything.
Right.
So I'm going to scroll up to capital.
I'm
going to scroll up to capital, and can we look at the very highs and then move on to the next ones?
Yep.
Can we do it that way?
Is
that okay?
I'm absolutely fine with that if the committee is. And I think that'll be a more efficient way. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Looks good to me. All right, not all the questions at the same time.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to raise your hands if you, and again, hopefully you've all had time to really dive deep into this. So are there any recommendations? There are places that you would want to switch the prioritization within the very high priority. On the screen, we have 1 through 3. If you have it on your screen, you may be able to see more. Or are we fine with the order currently presented to us? Okay. Seeing there, I have one hand from David Giordano. David?
So, you know, I kind of would say this. I think Carly did a real good job, particularly with youth and education, I'm sure as well with the other committees, of kind of trying to look at and condense and remove what we're already. I would say whatever priority we end up in, I support what the group supports. And in essence, it's even whether it makes it or not on this should not dictate whether we as our chairs of our committees follow up on these other areas. And I think that's what kind of Jason was talking about in terms of the tracker and those things, you know, because I think the most important thing is we get responses so we know how to appropriately advocate going forward. So I don't care if you put youth all at the bottom, it doesn't make retrospect difference of what they're going to give us anyway or not. But whatever the group decides, I'm okay with.
Thank you, David, for the collegiality. So seeing that there are no objections to what's been proposed, I think this allocation is very much in keeping with our previous discussion. David, do you have another question or is your hand still up?
No, right now I'm on the phone because I was cooking dinner. So that's,
So it's okay.
I don't know how to get the head back down.
Yeah, no problem.
You're
Quite all
lucky
right.
I got it up, man.
Quite all right, my friend. Okay, so let's scroll on down, please, Angel.
So do you want to vote by each category, or just get like a general consensus and then vote for capital and then expense?
I think we should do capital and then expense separately after we've gone through the categories in case we have to adjust something up. If someone finds like one is like, oh, could we shift that up to, and everyone's fine. But
All right, so right now we're looking through 1 to 10.
Mhm.
You want to move on to, are you saying that you guys are okay with 1 through 10?
Let's scroll down on the screen, please, to the
Okay.
next set, to 4 through 6 or whatever fits on the screen.
If
If
I
it-
may recommend, what we did yesterday, it just helps. Like, I would just be more concerned if anybody has an issue or wants to change.
Mhm.
'Cause it looks outstanding, Angel.
Nice.
Just so the reason I'm asking you just to put these on screen, does anyone have any questions or concerns with the ranking of 4 through 7?
I see.
Good. Seeing no objections, scroll down, please.
So it's through 10.
Oh, sorry. So 8 through 10. Please take a look, refresh your memories to see if there are any objections with the placement and order here. Okay. Reminding you to raise your hands if there are any issues you'd like to raise. Okay, seeing that there are none, we are now moving on from the very high priority to high priority.
Okay, so that starts again with number 11.
Mhm. Okay. Good. Just seeing that there are no hands raised, and we're pleased with this ranking, this recommended ranking. You can scroll down, please, on the screen to include 15 through the next set. 15 through 19. Thank you. Now you'll see many of the capital requests that we've had, whether they are highest priority, high priority. Some have been recurring for years, and they maintain there just like our process has dictated. Seeing that there are no hands raised, go to 20.
Oops.
Nope, too far. Okay. Okay. Again, reminding everyone, please raise your hands, committee members, if you want to resituate a request. Scroll down, please, to 24 and 25.
So that's 20 to 22, 23. 23 was cut off a little bit at the bottom.
Yeah, then include 23 through 25, because
Okay.
there we go.
Sure.
These are some of our new requests. Okay, seeing there are no hands raised, we will lock that off. And then we have our last, which are our low priority rankings. Last, okay. I have one hand raised from Elsie. Elsie?
Yes, I just saw number 27 in an email written about it not being vetted correctly in committee. So I just wanted to ask if that was resolved.
Well, first I have Jason's hand raised, and then I'd like to go to Jose because that is his committee.
Thank you. So yeah, I reviewed the video. The item was brought up at committee. It was brought up by Jessica Morris. It then was acknowledged by Dawn Sanders. And just like in this process where we're going through it and nobody posed no objection, there was no objection to the request. So that request did come out of committee, and therefore SDN stands behind the motion that was provided last night to the office. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jose.
Chairs of public safety, I just want to agree with what the statement that Jason just made. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jose. And for those of you who did watch the video, without belaboring too much, if you go a minute beyond, there is a clear ask if there are any objections to it and whether it should not be included, and no one opined. So just want to make sure that we acknowledge that. And with that, I'm going to go to Judith.
Hi, yes, I'm sorry, I'm a little late. I was not sitting here for a minute. I'm looking at all the parks. I never see anything about Marcus Garvey Park, the cleanup for the park, or anything else that's going on there. The homelessness, the drug use. I see all these other parks, but Marcus Garvey is always left out. Why is that?
There are multiple requests here related to Marcus Garvey Park.
Yeah.
I didn't see any. My eyesight's not that great, but I didn't see any.
Yeah, I know that there's a few. There's one, one related to the Acropolis, and then there's other ones about outreach to individuals who are in the park. There's a couple.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Jessica, and then Jason.
That's all I was going to address, was that there were multiple requests in the very high category for Marcus Garvey Park. And I feel like, you know, having Connie Lee, who's a member of the Marcus Garvey Park Alliance, in our meetings, every meeting, you know, these requests came directly from her knowledge and our collective committee work. So I feel comfortable with the amount of requests there are for Marcus Garvey, considering we have many parks and there are, you know, as many requests for any of the other parks as well.
Well, I'm sorry, but I live right across. I live right across the street from it, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse instead of better. So that's just my opinion, and the people that live directly around it.
Thank you, Judith. I trust me, I do go up there on a regular basis, and I see, especially in many of the complaints from the people who live directly around the park. And I appreciate Connie coming regularly and updating. I love going to. I've always loved parks. I'm a little biased, but Jessica's done a very good job, and Malik, in bringing everyone together to give us updates every month in regards to that, and that's why those requests are there. So we'll continue our advocacy. It doesn't stop after tonight and after full board, which is what David opined on. I got one more question from Jose before we. Okay, you just lowered his hand. All right. Do we have any other questions with this last set of capital? Okay, seeing that there are none. Angel, if it would please you that we could vote on these and their prioritization, and then we will move on to expense.
What am I, like the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms? If it please. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would help.
Yeah, so we can lock this off and move on.
Yeah. You gotta take a motion.
I recognize Jason.
Motion to support the executive. Motion to support the executive committee's recommendation for ranking of the capital requests for the statement of district needs.
Is there Jessica?
Second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Jose,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Elsie,
Yes.
Judith,
Abstain.
David,
Yes,
Marissa. Marissa? No. Nelsa is not, never mind. Xavier,
Aye, sorry.
Jason,
Yes.
Nye.
See Nye on.
I do see her. She's at the bottom of the list. Okay, John Green,
Aye.
Don Sanders. I'm gonna try Nye one more time. Nye. Motion passes.
All right, let's move on to expense.
Yes, give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Scroll on to the next one. Okay, so now we're on the expense requests in the very, very high category.
Okay, so we have our first three up here. And again, if you have any of them that you're wanting to switch in order of prioritization, please raise your hand so we can discuss and make a decision. So we have our first set here, which we have two new requests at the very top, just drawing attention to it, which is increased funding for cash assistance, rental assistance, eviction prevention, and increased funding due to COVID, and then increased funding for subsidies to help eligible low-income families within our community district. So, okay, seeing no hands, please scroll down.
That was 1 through 3.
Yes, sir. 1
Okay.
through 3 to 4, please. Good. And we have 4 through 6 now. Mhm. Okay, seeing no hands raised, please bring 7 up. That was 4 through 6. So we have 7 through 10 on the screen now. Okay, I don't see any hands. Please scroll to 11. Oh, sorry,
So that was 10.
That's
So
10. Sorry.
those are all the very highs. So those are all good to go. So now 11.
Does anyone have any issues with the very highs? I did not see any hands raised. So let's move along to our high.
Yeah, so the high priority again is the ranking of items of requests 11 through 25.
Thank you, Angel. So we have a new request at the top, which is to special attention to be paid to high school students at risk of dropping out, to provide more resources, expand outreach, and connect to these vital programs to the, I'm sure there's more in that right there. Let me go.
Oh, sorry. Hold on 1 second. I will expand that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. To the youth who need them most. All right, that's fine. DYCD. All right. Seeing there are no hands, if you could scroll down and bring 15 up, that was 11 through 14, going to request 15. We'll go 15 through 17 on this. Okay. No hands raised, please move to 18. Let's go 18 through 19. Okay. Moving on to 20. All right, 20 through 23. Okay.
Twenty-four to 25.
Yep. If you just, all right.
Oh,
You
I'm sorry,
expand.
I need to expand on 53.
Okay, it's about promote vaccinations and immunizations. As you know, our community had multiple issues in trying to get people vaccinated, and we were most hard hit from COVID and have, as well as flu and other maladies. So, okay, be the no hands raised, please scroll down to our next set of low priority.
Okay, so those were all the highs. Now we're on to low priority. So that's items 26 through 50.
Okay, we have 26 through 30 here on the screen. Okay, seeing no hands raised.
Jason just raised his hand.
Oh,
It was just, I'm sorry, and it's just a administrative thing. I'm assuming if it's red, that means they're not gonna, are we gonna submit even
Oh,
the
no,
request over?
No, I'm sorry, Jason. The red was just to help your eye follow them from one category to
cool.
another. Yeah, it's just for us right here.
Thank you.
No other importance.
See, there are no questions related to the ranking and order. Scroll up to 31, please. Go down.
31.
Yeah. We'll do 31 to 34 here on the screen. Here we have a request with Marcus Garvey. Okay. All right. See, no hands are raised. Please scroll down to 35. No questions, please bring 39 to the top. Again, number 40, calling attention to that. That's a new request. Okay, 43, please. We have these 3 new requests here. Okay. If there are no questions from the committee, please bring 46 up. So we have 46 and 47. These are also new requests.
Sorry, Xavier, I'm off mute. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you
But
now.
if you need me, you can text me and I can hop back off.
Okay, thank you, Nan. Just listen for when there's a vote called. Okay, 46 and 47, there are no questions there. Please bring 48. So 48 and 49. Also new requests. Okay, 50, our last one. Also new request. Okay. Something that affects all of our parks and our streets there. So. Okay, there were no adjustments in the recommended order. If there are no questions, I'd like to take a vote on the order and prioritization for our expense, please.
Your motion button.
Would like to make the motion? Raise your hand. Jason?
Motion to support the executive committee's recommendation for the expense budget request for the statement of district needs.
Okay. Elsie, oh, Jose. Elsie, you don't mind I give Jose this one?
Nope, you can go for it.
All right, Jose. Was that your second?
Second. Thank you, Elsie.
Gotcha.
All right, call the roll, please.
Sure. Jose,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Elsie,
Yes.
Judith,
Yes,
David,
Yes,
Xavier,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Nye, Nye, John,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay. Very good. All right. Thank you, Angel.
Sure.
Come back up to the agenda. Just a second. Pull mine back up here. Right here. Okay, thank you, everyone. As we wait for the agenda to come back up, appreciate your help. Again, we will, Jason and I have spent many hours on the phone, as he has spent with our membership. We all have, and we thank you for being part of the process. We appreciate all the level best efforts in making this a reality and refining what was envisioned over 4 years ago. So thank you, Jason. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the staff, most of all, who we couldn't do this job without you. On to presentations and discussions, part B, co-sponsorship requests. Do we have Harlem Yes World AIDS Day? I think Pat was going to join us, but she may be a little late. Is she on yet?
She's not.
I see Pat here.
Oh, you do? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is. My bad. Sorry about that, Pat. There you go.
All right, Pat. Can you hear us, Pat?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Yes, I'm here.
Pat, this is Angel. Give me 1 second. I'm going to promote you to panelist. Okay, just give me 1 second.
Okay, good.
Well, it's not taking for some reason. All right, just go ahead. There she goes. All right. Sorry, Zoom was a little slow there. Pat, the floor is yours.
Go ahead, Pat. Pat?
Am I on?
Yes, you're on.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was-
Okay, it's okay.
Okay, and
It's okay.
people of color and world and aging with HIV/AIDS is a continuation of our 2019 presentation, which the community board co-sponsored at that time. So we're asking for your support in securing our venue for that day. Anybody have any questions? It's a panel discussion, and we also reached out to Dr. Smith, who's part of the World AIDS Day community, to be our keynote speaker. We'll have panelists consisting of professionals who are currently providing services to people who are afflicted with age and aging during the aging process. And we'll also have people presenting who have been aging with HIV/AIDS. It'll be hopefully presented here in East Harlem. And we're looking to follow COVID restrictions. I'm sorry, I'm in a cab on my way home, but I'm here. And we'll have folks who are currently living with AIDS during the aging process. We have Sage, who will be joining us, who deal with seniors who are affected with HIV/AIDS. So our community is a part of, a large part of our community is affected by the AIDS pandemic. So we want to give out information on how to secure treatment, how to secure additional services while living with HIV/AIDS and aging. Unfortunately, a lot of our elder community they are contracting the HIV/AIDS because they feel like they're immune. So we have to get the word out that we need to continue to protect ourselves in order to eradicate this pandemic that's ravishing our people of color, our community. Harlem has a large population of folks who are affected with HIV/AIDS. So once again, our intent is to educate and support folks who are aging and even our young folks who have HIV/AIDS. And that's why we're reaching out to the community board to hopefully support our efforts to educate and support our people of color during this continuing HIV/AIDS pandemic.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat. And for a little bit of history for those, we did co-sponsor in 2019, and it was about women of color dealing with AIDS. And I was attended by Nye Whitaker, Nilsa came, Gail Brewer, and several other members. So we did support this in the past, and that's it's really pulling back the curtain on something that is still a scourge affecting our community, and we've seen it even more now during COVID because it causes people to be compromised and
Compromise, yes.
Sorry. And for those of you who don't know, I did lose my uncle to AIDS years ago, so it's something near and dear, but that's it. Thank you very much, Pat. Do we have any questions? I see Jason's hand raised.
Yes, I have two questions. Question number one, Pat, I didn't hear the date of the event. And then my second question, as treasurer of the board, I didn't see a co-sponsor application.
The date is December the 3rd, Friday, December the 3rd, and it will be from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. I do not have a copy of the application, and once I receive it, I will gladly complete it and submit it.
Okay.
Thank you, Pat. So then this is my question, follow-up is to us. So we don't have an application. Are we looking to support this today? Or are we going to wait for the documentation and look at it in November?
We are looking at this for a vote today, and the only form I am aware of at this point in time is the Community Board 11 financial sponsorship request form. She's not asking for money in particular. I'm looking at the one that just happens to be up on our agenda with the East Harlem Holiday Tree, which is requesting.
They're not asking for money, they're just asking for support. Got it.
Yes. And in 2019, what happened is that we co-sponsored, and the Museum of the City of New York donated the space for the event because it was a co-sponsored event with Human Services and the Community Board. Does that help answer the question, Jason? Jason?
Thank you.
You're muted.
I'm sorry. We're not giving them money, right?
Correct.
Right. No, we're
it.
not.
I understand. I don't want to bleed it. That's why I just was looking for clarity. That was it. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. All right. Are there any other questions of Pat?
Motion to support.
Seconded by Jason Villanueva.
All right. Please call the roll. Angel?
Didn't realize I was muted. Sorry about that. Jose?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Elsie?
Yes.
Judith?
Approve.
David?
Yes.
Xavier?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Nye? John?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you. Next, we have Relina Cardona. Thank you.
Everyone. Have a blessed night.
You too. Next, we have Rodina Cardona from the International Puerto Rican Heritage Film Festival, also requesting to kind of co-sponsor an event that was founded in this community. Rodina?
Hi, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time. And I've sat on community boards, so I do appreciate the work that you do. We understand how that is putting our community first. For those of you that don't know, the International Puerto Rican Heritage Film Festival is going on its 11th year. Our very first festival was in El Barrio at the Poets Den. And, you know, so it does have its roots in that community. We've exhibited predominantly in the past 11 years through in East Harlem and also on the Lower East Side. We've been at the Museo del Barrio, the theater in Mount Sinai, the Cantor Theater, and other venues around the community. We've grown over the years, thank God, and, you know, with contributions from Boricuas from around the globe. It's not just local or national, but it has become internationally known as far as its presenters, you know, as far as its filmmakers from around the world. We have tried to really bring forth the Boricua diaspora. We've tried to bring forth the stories of the Puerto Rican community throughout the world. And we've also requested, you know, through our film festival, that to be in competition in the film, you know, it should be a director, an actor, producer, a head writer. It should have a Puerto Rican flair within our films. We are asking also for co-sponsorship. And I do appreciate Mr. Villanueva's, you know, rock bottom, how much money. We're not asking for any money. We are asking for co-sponsorship. We have collaborated with Community Board 11 in the past and Uptown Grand Central. We've done our Open Streets program at 101st Street. I was here at the beginning of the meeting and I heard your vice chair mention that we are working with El Museo to do this Saturday, show some of our films that we've already featured in the past years in our festival, you know, to bring that to the community. We were 100% virtual last year due to the pandemic, as many people were, but we still kept pushing forward. So once again, you know, we're seeking your support. One of the films that we've programmed includes Takeover, which was a documentary about the Young Lords and the taking over of People's Church in El Barrio. So many of our films you will see have the flavor of what a lot of the history of El Barrio. We know El Barrio has a beautiful and lustrous Puerto Rican history, and we would love to continue that relationship with Community Board 11 and our festival. In the past, we have been supported, and we are supported by Councilwoman Diana Ayala, Councilmember Carolina Rivera, as well as the Borough President, Ms. Brewer, and your Assemblyman, Robert Rodriguez, has been supporting us throughout the years also. So once again, we would just love to continue the relationship that we have within this community. And, you know, we see it as obviously a very good fit and would love your support for the International Puerto Rican Heritage Film Festival. And if there are any questions, I am open to them.
Okay. Any questions? Jason?
Yes, one question, then I'm ready for a motion. When is the event?
We will be starting the 11th of November and closing on the 14th.
See, actually, correction is the 10th.
The 10th, I'm sorry. That's right, the 11th, I have something else going on. It is the 10th, I'm sorry, the Wednesday.
Okay, Jason?
Motion to support the International Puerto Rican Heritage and Film Festival.
Do we have Elsie?
A second.
Please call the roll, Angel.
Jose,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Elsie,
Yes.
Judith,
Yes,
David,
Yes,
Xavier,
Present, not voting.
P and V. Jason Villanueva,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
9. John,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank
If
you
I
very
may-
much. Mhm,
If I
go
may,
on.
Mr. Chair, I just want to thank everyone. I really appreciate it. And everyone, please stay safe. And I hope your families are safe during these crazy times.
Thank you, Arlena. Thank you for coming out. and bearing
Have a
with us.
blessed night, everyone.
All right, you too. All right. Thank you. Moving on to the East Harlem Holiday Tree. The form was submitted to us. This is a financial sponsorship request. They did fill out the form. I'm sure Jason had a moment to review it. Angel, we don't have anyone here to present, do we?
We do not.
Okay.
And
So,
just as a note, Chair, as treasurer, we have the funds.
just real quick, brief history. We have supported this event in the past. It does look like they have reduced the ask this year from last year or the year prior. So if are there any questions from the committee? Seeing that there are none, I will entertain a motion. Yes, John.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay. Motion by John, second by David. Call the roll, please.
Jose,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yeah.
Elsie,
Yes.
Judith,
Yes,
David,
yes,
Xavier,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
aye. John,
Aye.
the motion passes.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. And we can move to the next slide. Okay. All right, discussion. We talked about this, and thank you, John, for bringing it up last meeting. This was discussed at Borough Board, which both that I attended today, and we discussed the issues about open meetings laws, and there's going to actually be a hearing. I believe it's October 25th at the Assembly. For those who want to attend, it should please check the Assembly's calendar. I do think it would be prudent for us to take a position supporting amending the open meetings law permanently in the case of another pandemic, and also be it that our community was hardest hit, or one of the hardest hit ones. I think it's important to realize that as volunteers, but are still the open meetings law apply to us, we should have every protection in place. And I think part of that is the ability for either the community district or for the borough president who oversees us as per the city charter to be able to adapt and make the judgment call. So I think that I'd like to open this up for more discussion if we want to take a position and put some bullet points down for it. I'm open to that. Today it's October. If we want to flesh this out a little bit more and then vote on in November, there is still time. But again, they're starting to take this up in discussion at Albany, which is where our input would be needed. So are there any comments, questions, discussions? Yes, Jessica.
I just wanted to voice support for permanent amendment. I think it's been a lot easier to be on multiple meetings, and I think if we continue in this way, we'll have time and the ability to build it up so that more people can join, because I know that's a big concern.
Okay, Jose.
I'd like to agree with Jessica's statement. Makes things, particularly considering COVID is still very active, we don't know situation, definitely in favor.
Okay, so thank you, Jose. Angel.
Oh,
would you recommend, I'm not opposed to us approving with the basic bullet points of what we'd like to see happen or in support of our other community board district, our other community districts. I'm not opposed to that, but do you have any recommendations on this other than citing a couple of the bullet points that we briefly discussed this morning, such as that being hardest hit, the need for there to be a bit more autonomy for the borough president and for the mayor to be able to decide what would be best? I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
So Jason also had his hand up. I don't know if you wanted to.
Oh, okay, he still did. I saw him lower.
Oh,
Jason did. Jason, sorry.
It was for the discussion part, but I don't want to affect process. I'll wait for the discussion part again.
My ugly face on camera. I think in terms of the OML, I think that, yeah, a permanent change to the open meetings law makes a ton of sense. I think that, learning a lesson from the experience that we've had through this pandemic, not learning a lesson would be a travesty. Travesty. Let's go with travesty. Because like the fact of the matter is it's a lot easier for people to participate in these meetings regularly. A lot of work is being done remotely now. We've proven that we're proving that we can meet the mandate of holding our meetings in an open forum, in a forum that's open to the public, which is what the requirement is, right? It's nothing else and nothing more than that. And we've been doing that, not just our board, of course, but all the community boards across the city have been doing that, rather effectively. And to dictate after we've been able to pull this off that we have to, return to something that ignores what we've been able to do and ignores the opportunity that we've, provided to our constituents and to our attendees and frankly to our presenters as well as ourselves, I think would be, would be a shame. So in terms of like the wording for it, I think that we should draft something to put before the board either this month or next month. I'm happy to write something up. There are some proposals from some of the elected officials, from some of the state reps that we could, crib off of, or maybe even choose to sign on to. But I think it's probably easier to get folks to support if they have something that clearly states what the scope of the ask is.
So I think it would be, so a couple of things having been at Borough Board is that people are co-signing or in support of permanently amending. Some have written individual letters. My next question would be is, do you think it would be too late to have the board vote in November on this?
Too late in terms of getting into
No, getting in the input. Okay.
No.
Okay.
But November's going to be a busy meeting, so all the more reason to have something written for them to consider.
Exactly. What
make the other members' lives easier. Yeah.
What my thoughts are is that we can send information. You can send us some drafts and proposals from assembly members in the appeal, and we can sign on. I think it'd be good to have at executive the other letters that have already been sent out from our fellow community board.
Sure, I can get some stuff out after full board. I'm going to be busy before then, but I'll collect some stuff and I'll draft up some stuff and I'll circulate it around to you guys, and you guys can.
So maybe what we also be good, Angel, is if we can get it and then just be a standing item in each of our committees so that people can discuss it, and then kind of, when we come back at executive, already have pulled the committees. I mean, I'd be willing to do that. I don't know about anybody else or
sure.
Too much. Yeah.
Right. No, that's great.
No, that's thank you, David. It's a great recommendation. So if each of your committees, you could just address this briefly and just send some bullet points back with the chairs, that will help. And while in the meantime, Angel, if he's able to get it to us after full board next week, we could just cite a couple of examples in your committees just to discuss it. So it's on on their radar, so they're not feeling sideswiped when we have full board in November. Sound good, team? Okay, seeing no objections. We're going to move on to committee discussions regarding the proposed new golf entertainment center on Randall's Island. Oh, I see a hand raised. Jessica?
I can just give a quick summary of this, unless Angel is planning to do that.
It's all you, Miss Elliott.
Okay, great. So thank you. So we had Drive Shack at Randall's Island come present at our meeting again this month. This was at least the second time since they've been to our committee meetings. So their proposal is to rehabilitate and sort of redesign the existing driving range, which has 80 stalls, and they're going to enlarge it so that there are more stalls for driving ranges, but they're also going to include a miniature golf area, public lounge, food service, and all of the facilities will be open to those who aren't playing golf. So you can come in and use their Wi-Fi or order food or just, hang out. So their construction is beginning in June 2022 and will complete in December 2023 and will operate from 9 a.m. to midnight. They mentioned that there were free youth programs with a focus on East Harlem and the South Bronx, which is why we encouraged them to visit the Youth and Education Committee. So I would be curious to hear what came out of that committee. And then secondly, they also mentioned a number of employment opportunities, as many as 350 jobs that they plan to work with CB11 to implement local hiring practices. So we also recommended that they go to Economic Development and Culture. Both committees met with my committee leadership, and we discussed this ahead of them coming to their committees to present. So I would, I think on our end from Environment, Open Space and Parks, I think there's always a challenging relationship with Randall's Island. We love them, we love the park, but I think over the last couple of years that I've been involved, I've seen a lot more focus from them on supporting our community directly, being part of our district, and I think that will continue. So while I think there might be better uses for the site rather than a driving range, I think there's a lot of opportunities for our youth and for jobs and a lot of green infrastructure around that. So I'd be curious to hear from EcoDev and Youth and Education on their committee's discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica. I see a hand up real quick from Jose.
Just want to say that, well, you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, I'm not a fan of golf. My father-in-law has tried many, many times to convince me otherwise. I have a set of golf clubs thanks to him. First time I went to play golf, I broke a $2,500 driver, and I sent the driver head further than I sent the ball. So if there's a prize for breaking drivers and sending them further than the ball, that would be for me. However, I think this is a really great project. I think would be amazing. I know there's a lot of people that do enjoy. I see Jason putting out his golf clubs. And I do intend to learn, so we're gonna have to talk. And Adam, who's not here, is an avid golfer. So anyhow, I just wanted to say that I think this would be something that would be very beneficial to our community, particularly with the jobs involved, primarily if they are dedicated to giving these jobs to people, residents of East Harlem. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. I think we've always maintained that. Yeah, local hiring, and that's great. I know David and well, I don't see Marissa on anymore. But Jason, you had a question?
Just more of like inquiry to the chairs that are involved. I just want to hear any challenge. Again, forgive. As you know, it's hard to digest the thousands of minutes that we read. So if you guys could just let us know where your committees are at in supporting or any conditions with this, I think it'd really it'll really drive, because I'm biased, I'm for it, but you know, I want to be professional.
Okay, thank you. David, from a youth education standpoint?
You know, Jose raised some of the issues again, the local hiring and those pieces, the commitment to the community. But, you know, I guess overall, the committee did support it. Russell did share things where he didn't share in parts, but did speak more strongly again about our relationships with different entities that ask for things and promise things and don't always necessarily come through with their promise, but then in all equally, sometimes we don't always follow through what we advocate for by getting them at the table. So again, you know, like I explained to them, when I hear high schools that have golf teams, there's not a goddamn high school in East Harlem that has a golf team. So who are we again talking about, right? And what we did say is we do have 2 local high schools. We do have some local charter schools. Maybe work with some of them. Esperanza is one of our high schools that's a District 4 high school that mainly only serves District 4 kids. So maybe we should begin there as a pilot program. You know, and Russell chimed in as well. Again, you know, how many things is this going to really translate to? You know, we may have the next Tiger Woods that's sitting in Lexington, you know, Academy or another school in the city. And, you know, maybe also work with some middle schools. But, you know, it all comes from naught when people come before us and ask for something. And we don't then have the real time to present something. So members wanted conditions and this and that. And, you know, the really consensus was to come back and have. So we're not supporting it. Overall, the committee thinks it is a good opportunity. Again, you know, and then when they talked about different times, it's always like, well, you're going to give us the times when we really can't get families over there to play. So then what good is the times over there? So, you know, there's a lot more work that we hope that can be done, you know. So I just want y'all to see this picture behind me. Somebody carved that out and it is laying down flat in the back of Woodlawn Park Woods, like dead woods in the back. And I just happened upon it with the dogs. Guy with a milk crate just went out there and carved it. So it's a great thing. So that's in our parks. But, you know, how do we get to a better place to ensure that we do get the jobs for construction, we do get the jobs for labor afterwards, that we get the management positions? You know, just again, we're always bound by what somebody else needs. It's not like this project was thought of yesterday and they're coming before us. So, you know, I can vote either way, but the committee inclined towards voting for it. So I do have to support the committee.
Okay. Jessica?
If EcoDev isn't here, you know, I think I agree with David. And, you know, I think we could be a lot more explicit about our conditions that support. And I think one, if we mention the East Harlem schools, regardless of whether or not they have a golf team, should be included in their youth programs. And then I think we should extend that to middle schools, as David was suggesting. And we should add that there's no restrictions on timing for those sorts of opportunities. And then, you know, I'm not sure what came out of EcoDev, but I think really what the main goal out of them seeing it was to talk to them about local hiring, because you know, I think that with so many jobs, they need to do a lot of outreach a lot sooner. But I think the way that they talked about it in the meeting, there was a lot of opportunity for growth. The man who presented talked about how he went from like literally the lowest tier job at a golf course or like in a facility like this, and is now like in charge of those kinds of things. So I think, you know, if we add those 2 conditions, that we could
and you know, Jessica, I would also just add maybe the condition they did say, like the Randall's Island Sports Camp, which many, you know, use from our community, Harlem, that we also make sure that a certain amount of those slots for camp groups go to East Harlem camp groups, as opposed to communities outside of East Harlem. You know, It's not that we don't want to share the wealth with something, but we don't want to share it to where we don't take advantage of it. And I think the sports camp would be good for that. So it is a separate camp that they run out there. And they did mention that the camp would get time on those, that driving range. So.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, I just want to add to the conversation. I love it. So I do agree with the challenge that sometimes we get these projects and then we're pressed for time. And I think what I've learned over the years that's been real interesting, and I've seen it come out of land use and evolve in economic development, and that's guidelines. Example given, land use and housing has affordable housing guidelines. I know economic development has hiring guide, and these are CB11 policy guidelines. And I guess I know this is vague to this exact project, but maybe some of these other committees that I'm hearing that have challenges, if we set a standard of guidelines, example given, then when we are dealing with this challenge, we have a standard, like you're going to do this in the community and you're going to have this great golf outing. Take some kids from the district once every Saturday as your nonprofit. I mean, I'm shooting from the hip, and of course it's easier said than done because we need the brothers and sisters to do the work. But we have, I guess, one thing I love that I've seen since I became a board member with economic development and as a workforce development activist and advocate, I've seen a lot of response in the district where before, as an organizer, I didn't see elected support or civil support. And lately, in the efforts of our performance as a CBO, and I'm speaking as a CBO, not a chair, that I will say it is interesting now to see even developers bring up CB11's guidelines, hiring guidelines. And I could tell you, I've been shaping, which is the process of looking for work for members, in this case, for people in our district that don't get jobs. And 20 years of doing it, I've never been told that. So in the last 5 years, and in the last 2 years specifically, when we approach some of these projects, I've been expressed, oh yeah, CB11's guidelines. So I guess that little thing, I don't want to say little, it's a big thing, right? In this standard, it works. And I think it would assist, because I do agree, David and Jessica, that especially with the cross collaboration, it's challenging to digest it and then get all of that together so that way we can conditionally approve it.
Jessica, you have your hand raised. And
I
then
just
Angel.
wanted to raise my hand to volunteer to help develop those. I think those guidelines are really important. And again, we use local hiring so much, but we could be developing, lists of, what the community board expects as to public and private investment and asking for our community partnership or our support, like a checklist and accountability metrics for that. So I would love to work on that if anyone is interested. And also I have my golf ring, which is state champions girls golf, of which I was the worst player. My score never counted, but.
Sounds like we do have an outing in our future. Angel.
Yeah. So a couple of things. One, I'm really impressed that David lives in Winterfell and has a weird wood tree in his backyard. That's awesome.
It is, ain't it, Angel?
Then two things. One, so yes to everything, but one, the ask from them is for a letter of support to the PDC. So we need to focus on that. That's not to say that we can't add other things. When it comes to local hiring, our challenge a lot of times with some of these projects is that some of the jobs are like, it's very specific, very, whatever, and it's hard to find our local folks. Most of these jobs are service jobs. I'm like, we could do them easy peasy. And we've already done it. We have the model, right? We did it at East River Plaza. So what was done then, for the members that haven't been here for 10 years, was they created a first source hiring program, right? So as part of the community benefits agreement with that the board, brokered with the developer, they agreed to do what was termed a first source hiring program, that whereby the developer was partnered with local workforce organizations that were then tasked with identifying and matching local, folks with the jobs that would be, provided at the project. The organizations would vet those to make sure that they're matching, and then people will have to, of course, apply. The first source part of it was that if the opening of the application period, let's say, was February 1st, East Harlem applicants would get to start applying January 1st, right? They would get a head start. And with service jobs, we can fill them suckers easy peasy, right? So without endorsing any of the local workforce folks, like Strive and Operation Fight back then were the two, organizations that were contracted to do that work. So we definitely have the model that we can do, and we can apply here. With the youth participation, right? Dave knows this because Dave was knocking them over the head together with Francis for several years on the tennis center, right? And Rick Zarita, who presented to you guys the golf thing, was the guy that presented the tennis thing. So he's heard it a million times, about our desire to find opportunities for local youth, for local folks to participate in the opportunities presented by the project, programmatic opportunities. So they're fully conversant with that language. We can just pull right from what we already did, like, this is how you do it. This is exactly what we need you to do. In that instance, without belaboring the point, because there were many things that youth and parks and so on got out of them, which were dope. But one that's always at the front of mind when I think about the project is partnering with local schools. So people from that tennis project, from the folks that were operating at Sport Time, were then setting up programs with local schools, going to local schools, communicating with local schools to create programs, right? Like the degree and level of those programs, I'm not going to recall, but they were, in regular communication with some of them at the very least. So we have the model, and it's just a matter of just go in our little record book and just pull it out, and we can always improve it. But we can we're not starting from zero, is my point. Like we have it to do, right? Like Positive does that stuff, Strive does that stuff, Operation Union Settlement, that's what they do. And service jobs, that's the easiest one. I'm like, we'll fill those up. I thought they said 100, 200 something odd service jobs. I'm like, thank you very much. I'm like, here's the line, and here's our local people. Let's make it happen. So like, like you guys do good work, right? Like that's why people say, oh, CB11, it's because, we bang our head against the wall, but we come up with some good stuff.
So thank you, Angel. So they'd like a letter of support. Do we want to tack on those with this to vote on tonight?
What are the, just when you guys do it, if you could just please restate what the conditions are so I can get them exactly.
Okay. We've covered a fair few of them.
Yeah.
So Jason, well, now your hand's down. Jessica?
I will do my best to reiterate the conditions.
Okay.
So motion to provide a letter of support for Drive Shack with the conditions that East Harlem schools for free youth program outreach are considered middle school and high school, regardless of whether or not they have a golf team, and with no restrictions on timing or usability on the driving bays. And the second condition being that they use our local hiring guidelines, whatever those guidelines are. Open to friendly amendments.
Yes, Angel.
I'm out of order, but could we emphasize the first source hiring program with the local hire?
Yes.
Okay. Did that cover all the ones we raised?
I would just add that East Harlem summer camp programs are given priority for times that are designated for Randall's Island Sports Camp programming.
Sports camp.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Is there a second
Second.
by David Giordano? And if there are no other additional addendums to that with the request, the requirements.
No, and I said I would work with them with connecting to Esperanza as a pilot program. So that was one of the things. Maybe we should put that we begin with our high school, Esperanza, as a pilot program to be the first, I'll make it work with the superintendent.
Okay. Thank you, David. Let's call the roll.
Yeah, Peanut.
Jose,
Yes.
Adem,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Elsie,
Yes.
Judith,
Yes,
David,
Yes.
Xavier,
Yes.
Jason Villanueva,
Yes.
Nye Whitaker, John Green.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you very much, team. Moving on, old business. Any new business? Okay, not seeing any hands up for new business. Angel, thank you, team, for a productive meeting. We're going to conclude at 8:10 with a roll call.
Jose Altamirano,
Amazingly present.
Adem Brija,
Here.
Jessica Elliott,
Present.
Elsa Encarnacion,
Present.
Judith Ferraro,
present.
David Giordano,
Present.
Xavier Santiago,
Present.
Jason Villanueva,
Presente.
Nye Whitaker, John Green.
Out.
You have quorum. Adem, you missed it. We were talking about golf, and you were even referenced.
Really? I haven't
Yeah.
played in like a year and a half, but
I'm ready
Gonna
for
have
you.
your
I'm ready
chance.
for you, Adam. I'm
I
ready.
Have
got-
an outing.
give me a weeks.
I'm ready for you.
I gotta set up my simulator again.
Me and Charlie Diaz are ready.
He's
All right,
good. He's good.
let's
Don't
make
let
it
him
happen,
fool you.
guys.
Give me
Don't
like,
bet on it, Jason. Don't let
we'll,
them fool
we'll
you.
do a simulator day at my place one day. Look at all that.
Charlie places bets each hole.
Oh,
I'm
I
gonna
know.
simulate how far I send the driver head
I
again.
place bets every shot, so.
There you go. Oh, nah, come on, man. I'm not a scratch player. I'm a snatch player.
I was like a 4 handicap, but now I'm just probably like a 30. I don't know.
Well,
Angel wants to watch Dune now, so
enjoy life, guys.
Go
Thanks so much,
enjoy.
y'all.
All right,
Go
good night,
enjoy
Angel.
life.
Good night, everyone.
We
Thank you
should
for a
tell them we
productive
want a
meeting.
Community board meeting out there, right? 50 drivers, we should get all get away.
oh, got a whole floor.
That's it.
Bye, everyone.
folks.
Don't forget to come out this weekend.
Have
Bye.
a good one, everyone. Be well. Angel, y'all got my email about